I don't think anyone has probably ever said what I just said.
You know, when you're in a meeting and you get to a heated argument because your way is the only way and it's your way or the highway kind of thing, that's you working in a super silo over here while everybody else is trying to work over here.
If no one on your team in the last 3 business days has come to you, presented an alternative opinion than what you have previously shared, you have an ego problem. All right, I think this is episode 15.
It is episode 15.
Episode 15. Welcome
that?
to the 3PX show, and thank you for joining. We're excited you're here.
Yep,
this is your first
back.
time. Hope you enjoy it, and it makes you want to come back. If you've come back before, it's because clearly you like Wayne, and you want to keep coming back for more Wayne.
I think they're coming back for you, listening to the wisdom just spew out of your head.
Or they just want to hear more stories about Landy.
Do you have one? Obviously, you have a story about Landy. I can't wait for her to hear this.
Do I have a story that I want to tell?
When's the last time that you scared Landy?
I actually have I can't remember if I deleted it or not, but it was just a few days ago. I got her and she threw something at me.
Dude, why do you do that?
It's funny.
It is. No, I think it's hilarious. I love it.
She gets so mad.
Stephanie would she'd want to wring my neck.
I will tell you, she is crushing school right now.
Good for her.
Like she just got a 94 on one of her exams. This also speaks to the power of not giving up on your dream. She failed AP2 last semester or 2 semesters ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
She there was a part of her that felt like quitting. That's normal, right?
Right.
There's never 100% of you that wants to just get up and keep going. Right. There's always that voice in your head that says, it's done, it's over. But you know why I'm super proud of her? One of the reasons I'm super proud of her is she was like, I'm going to take it again. And I'm going to get a different teacher. And I'm going to crush it this time because she has made up her mind that she is going to become a nurse.
Love that. That is so awesome for her to do that.
Refuses to quit.
Not letting that self-doubt jump into your mind and work and own. That's excellent.
And it does jump in.
All the time.
And if you give it a little bit of space, then that self-doubt spreads.
I think that's what holds a lot of people back though, right? A lot of people get held back because they get that doubt in their head that because something happened, they failed at something, and then they start thinking in their mind that they can't do it. And when you think that you can't do it, you can't do it.
And you know what? What the heck do you have to lose?
Yeah.
I'd rather live through multiple failures than have to live my life with regret or wondering, could I have done that?
Right.
You know?
And a lot of people struggle with that every single day. That's that could be probably a podcast in itself.
Well, we are starting a podcast this episode. We can talk about it right now if you want. I don't have any. We don't have any notes about that, but sure we could.
We could probably run with it. There's no doubt.
But instead, this is really. You said it earlier before we got started, but and we kind of planned this. I mentioned it last episode. This is a little bit of a continuation of that conversation, and that is, we talked last episode about how the leader is the limiting factor for the performance of a team. It's not your team. It's not the managers that work for you. It's you. You're the problem.
100%.
I mentioned Chris and Deneen on the last episode.
You did.
But just when I said you are the problem, it reminded me when we were at the Honor Foundation event, which was a great event. Elise Mitchell's house is gorgeous, by the way. Chris and Deneen were there. I'm talking to Chris, and Chris is like, dude, the customer service podcast episode you guys did was awesome and all that. Well, Deneen overheard it, and because Chris was listening to it in his car, and she was going to get in the car, and it was during the time when I'm screaming, "You're the problem," and all that kind of stuff. And Deneen's like, "What are you listening to?"
That's
and
funny.
Chris is like, "That's just Steve and Wayne. It's fine. It's fine."
Oh, I didn't hear that story. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So you're the problem. It's not your people. But here's the issue. Leaders want everyone else to take ownership for outcomes, and they themselves refuse to look in the mirror and recognize, I am the one who is holding my team back. We talked about that last episode. This episode, we want to talk about the power of self-awareness and the leader to turn the mirror on themselves. How does that look inside of a business? And what are some things that you can do to really start generating that self-awareness? And what are some things that could be holding you back from being self-aware? And we're going to say a couple of two buzzwords here pretty soon. And it might be a little offensive to some leaders because nobody wants to think that they could be this way. But this is something that holds people back from being their true great self. Before we get too deep into this, www, what's Wayne wearing?
What's Wayne wearing?
No silos. I can read it clear as day.
No silos. Well, so this is a shout out to Angela Sloan. She helps. She's running everything down at the business now. She's taking care of us. What's her official title? VP of what?
Vice President of Business Operations.
Business Operations. That's just a mouthful. But hey,
I don't think it is.
You don't think it is, but she does a great job.
Would it have been better if I said VP of Biz Ops?
That might be better. No, but this is one of her things that she always says is no silos. The weakest link, you're only as good as your weakest link, right? And if you're over here in a silo and somebody else is over here in their silo and doing their thing, communication is not happening. And the better your communication, the better you're going to run your business and do that. And so you can't just be in your own little world over here because, you got to be part of the team. You got to help each other grow and help each other get stronger and push the organization forward. And if you're in a silo and you're just doing your own thing because that's all you do, then you're really a detriment to the company.
Man, I could talk for hours about silos and how they destroy businesses, but rather than doing that, I'm going to share a principle with you because we like to talk about takeaways and how you can make things better. Sorry, Quentin, I slammed my watch on the desk. I think I've done that a few times. And that is in the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. Yeah. One of the principles in that book that I don't even think is a part of the 5 dysfunction necessarily, but he talks in that book about the first team. Who is your first team? Your first team is not the team that works for you. It's not your department. Your first team are your co-managers. It's the leadership team that is leading all the other departments together. So for us, the first team is the person who is running sales, the person who is running purchasing, the person who is running facilities, the person who is running operations, the person who is running accounting. Those people are a team, and they are responsible to each other as a team. Silos get created when people don't realize that their first team responsibility, if I'm a department manager, my first team responsibility is to my other department managers.
Yes.
The other functions. My first team responsibility is not to the people who work for me. I don't think anyone, unless you've read that book, I don't think anyone has probably ever said what I just said.
Probably haven't because they think totally opposite.
I got to take care of my team, all that kind of stuff. If you're not investing time, energy, and effort into building trust, synergy, communication with your first team, that is, as a leader, your co-leaders, your co-managers in other departments, then you are operating in silos, period, hard stop.
That is the true definition of a silo, right? I mean, 100% on that. Because people will just do that. I've got to take care of my team. I got to build that. And like you just said, it's that team that's around you. That's what I love about, even the new leadership structure that you just set up where you got the executive team, but you look at the management team, the leadership team that we have now. It's that person from each department that's in that room and talking and representing their departments. Well, they've got to be they got to gel. They got to be a really good team together, because if they do, then we're gonna have more success as a company. But if they break off. And if we don't have those meetings, then all they're doing is they're working in the silo because they don't know what that other person's doing, and they don't know what's happening, what's going on, and the company's just gonna just sprout legs and go just all over the place, and you never know where you're going with it.
I got to say this because this is such a good topic. I knew you're going to wear the no silo shirt. Like I saw it folded, and I didn't even think about any of this stuff. And now we're talking about it. Now I'm all fired up. You know, if you're a leader listening to this or watching, and you're thinking to yourself, my operations leader doesn't need to be sitting in a meeting talking about accounting stuff. My sales leader doesn't need to be in a meeting talking about operations stuff that has nothing to do with them. That's why you're failing. Because we are in those meetings now with all the functional department leaders together, first team, following the EOS structure, and everyone on that team is helping solve problems for each of those other leaders. Accounting leader is IDSing some issues that she's running into. Operations leader is IDSing issues that he is running into. You know, sales, same way. They're collaborating on problems that they are experiencing. They're collaborating on solutions. They're sharing the accountability on how to implement those solutions and execute. They're communicating. You want your functional department leaders involved in the issues and experiences of the other department leaders. That is not a waste of time. It is strengthening your team. It's making your company better, and it is tearing down the silos.
There is so much crossover between departments.
Yes.
And if you don't nip it in the bud or take care of it, then it's just going to continue to be such an issue. Hey, this meeting, you may sit there and you may be quiet, and that may be perfectly fine because you don't have anything to talk about in that one at that point. But there will come a time when something's said or something's happening that your department will be totally involved in that. You know, because a lot of times the problem accounting may have, well, it affects operations, or it affects purchasing, or it affects what. It's that, yeah, exactly. It's that grid. It's that net that keeps everybody connected and together. And if you don't, if you're not part of that meeting, if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem.
Mm-hmm. And Jeff said this coming out of the traction meeting, and or it was either traction or L10. He said, I really enjoyed being in this because we spent some time talking about some accounting issues. He's like, man, it really gave me a good understanding of kind of what they're dealing with, you know, that he would otherwise have never heard about. Why would you want your managers to operate in this micro environment of only worrying about their department? The most influential leaders you have in your organization are department managers.
Yeah.
Why would you not want them to get a 30,000-foot view of exactly how the business operates and how different departments work together? Why would you not want them to have that view? Well, it's another meeting and they're too big. Dude, it's 60 minutes a week.
Exactly. Yes.
60 minutes a week, maybe 90 minutes if you have a lot of things, a lot of issues to IDS. 60 minutes a week, man. Like, tear down the walls of your organization, bring your people together consistently, not once a quarter for a luncheon or something like that. But your department leaders need to be meeting together. In fact, they do an operation stand-up now, actually daily. I think it's like 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and all of the department leaders get together and they do a quick stand-up meeting. They are solving problems like bringing stuff out, solving it, moving on to the next thing, because we don't have silos around here. But if you don't have a system in place that prevents silos, we're just using a system. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We're just using a system.
Exactly.
If you don't have a system that prevents silos, you have communication and leadership silos in your business and you don't even realize it.
And nobody's communicating. No, they're not even thinking about communicating. It's there's an issue. Well, they need to fix that. Well, how do they know? How does another department know to fix something if you're not having the right communication, other than them getting mad at each other? Things start happening, things start breaking, and then it becomes a finger pointing situation. Well, you did this, and your department's doing that, or that person over here, he works for you, all that kind of thing. It blows up and it creates a lot of friction. And when you look at it as a company, hey, we're all on the same team. the whole goal is for us to play together right and to go down in the score. And if we're fighting among ourselves and we're not doing what we need to be doing to prevent that, then it just, you're never going to do anything. It's always going to be punt the ball.
For the first year or two, I don't think I'm lying when I say this, it had to be every day. Every day I would be talking to a department leader because inevitably if they're not coming to me, I'm going to them and I'm asking questions. Hey, what's going on? How are you? What's something that's working really good for you right now? If you could change one thing, what would it be? What's the most frustrating thing that you're dealing with this week? Like, I'm asking all these open-ended questions because I want to hear. Every single day, somebody would be complaining about an issue in another department. Okay? Every day. And then I would ask, have you talked to so-and-so about this? Well, no.
Yeah. I remember you talking about that, right?
Yes.
Well, I didn't talk to them. I mean, will you talk to them? Well, no, they got to do that.
Yep. Now that took some time to get people to break through, right? But now when I find out about those things, I'm like, hey, have you oh yeah, well, I've already I'm just letting you know, I've already talked to them, like we're working it out and all that kind of stuff. And now that we've got the leadership team, EOS, L10 structure, where all of the functional leaders are in a room together going through an L10 that currently I'm facilitating to make sure these conversations are happening, we're going to get even better at that.
Yeah.
Department managers don't even want to talk to each other.
That was a great move, by the way, by just laying that out and getting everybody in that group. But that's the forward thinking. That's seeing the vision of the greater good of the overall organization. So you laying that out and bringing everybody together, because we just had our leadership meeting with us and then some of the leaders, but not with everyone basically involved. And so when we changed that structure not long ago, I think that's been a big deal for how we're running and really being able to see the vision of the company and where we're going with that.
Yeah. Okay. The mirror that leaders avoid, that is this self-awareness. I want to talk about the first thing here is the external fix trap. And I want to give you an example from some of my previous work experience. And we were in an environment where sales were declining, store growth was declining. It was tough. And we were all working harder than ever. So what the company decided to do is bring in a consultant. Hey, you evaluate the business, tell us what's wrong, all that kind of stuff, create a plan. We did that. And it was all this great information. Percentages of closing, people who are walking into the stores and get ignored by team members, no one greets them, opportunities to close a sale, but no one's asking for the close. Like all these like glaring behaviors that we're not doing, that would help us improve. And they rolled out this sales program, okay? And everyone went through sales training, these accountability tools. And I would say it wasn't even, company spent millions of dollars, by the way, millions of dollars on this. 6 months later, program completely evaporated, failed. People stopped doing it like it didn't even matter anymore. It was an absolute waste of time because what the company did was they outsourced the accountability and the ownership for the outcomes to the consulting company rather than the leaders in the organization taking extreme ownership and accountability for training, enforcing, the think, act, and believe about this program. They relied on an outsourced company. And when that outsourced company left, there became a big vacuum of passion to move this thing forward, and eventually it died.
Yeah.
Simply because leaders oftentimes chase tools or consultants to solve problems, and they don't take the self-awareness or the introspection to take ownership for it themselves. Now, that doesn't mean consultants are bad, but I think your story is paramount because you didn't outsource your issues to EOS and Justin Most, right? You used Justin to help turn the mirror on you and the business. You didn't just tell Justin, you come in and fix it.
Yeah, because you're going to sit back and you're going to look. He put it in such a way, and that's what EOS did. Is it just it turned the mirror because it's not looking out at, hey, where we're going, what we're doing. It's internal focus, looking at who you are. And then, because again, we went back to that right person, right seat. Well, we had to have a lot of introspective to be able to do that, because now we're looking in the mirror saying, okay, what is the issue? And quite frankly, we were the issue. We just were doing things the wrong way all the way. And we were in silos. We were in different capacities of how we were doing it. Wrong people in the wrong spots. I mean, it's just it was a cluster, unfortunately, and that's what a lot of companies get into. Is like you said, they'll bring in someone to help, but they won't look in the mirror. They won't look at what the real true issues are, and you got to get past that first. You got to be able to look at yourself and see, okay, what type of leader am I? Am I the one that's causing that issue? Was that self-awareness of? And Justin was able to help open up that picture for us to where we could really see where our issues were. And he did a great job with that. And that really helped us turn the page as a leadership team and focus on how to start fixing the issues. And a lot of those fixing the issues in the early days was fixing ourselves as a team.
Mm-hmm. So we're pretty picky about who we work with around here, especially now that we're like super, super busy. So we're really not even taking coaching clients or anything like that, just because of time. But I will tell you one quick story. So this has been a couple of months ago, and so I'm talking to this gentleman. He booked time with me, do an introductory call. I'm talking to him. Tell me about your business. Tell me about the leadership structure. Just I'm trying to take in all the information, and man, every single answer to the question was somebody else's issue. The owner does this, and the owner's he's probably listening, so I'll try to be careful. I love you, man. The owner's brother, the owner put him in like a cushy position, but he's not really very good at anything.
Yeah.
But because it's the owner's brother, he's got like this title and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of puts off a bad culture vibe. Blaming the market for the competitive hourly wage. So like they lose people pretty fast because they'll leave for like $1 an hour. If the other plant down the road offers $1 an hour more, man, they'll steal their people, all that kind of stuff. That's a whole other topic conversation. If you got people leaving your business for an extra $1 an hour, your problem is not wages. Your problem is culture.
Yes, I was thinking the same exact
Period.
thing. Yes, I mean that's yeah.
Let's not lose that. But back to that's another good conversation. But throughout this whole conversation, he's telling me all this stuff, and I'm thinking in my mind, like, dude, are you ever going to take any ownership for anything that happens inside your business and at any time, right? So he's like, tell me what to do, like, what do you think, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, what do you think? If you were looking at your business from the outside, what would you do? And he's giving me all the wrong answers. So I'm like, all right, you tell me isn't really working. I'm gonna have to give him some advice, right?
Yeah.
So I lay out some techniques. I lay out sharp, talk about apologizing for the type of communication that's been going on. I lay out a daily meeting structure for him to generate accountability and ownership, to generate dialogue. I lay out another meeting structure for him to actually have with his owner so that he can share how he feels about what's happening with the owner, offer solutions, lead up, hey, here's what I think I can do, kind of thing. And let's just say he didn't do any of it. Okay. There is a problem, a general problem, in my opinion, with I'm going to say the majority again. I said that last episode, but this is just my experience with the majority of leaders not taking ownership and looking in the mirror and saying, I'm the problem.
Right.
I need to change. What can I do differently? It's always out here.
I was thinking just a second ago when you were talking about that is, and I've said this to somebody here recently, is put yourself in their position. Think like an owner, and think. So when you hit an issue or you got a problem and you're doing it, think like the owner. How would you respond to that? And then have that conversation with the owner, kind of thing. Because they may not be thinking that same way, but you have to always put yourself in maybe in a different position. Think about it differently, because if you're going at it the same way every time, you're always going to get the same exact results. And so start thinking about it differently. If you want the change, want the outcome to be different, then how can you make that outcome different? But if you keep doing the same thing over and over, I mean, you can expect to get the same results over and over and over.
That's the definition of insanity.
Yeah, it is. But people do it all the time, and they drive themselves nuts because it just is like, it just never changes. Well, exactly. If you want it to change, then you have to be sometimes the change agent to make that happen.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about 2 silent saboteurs for leadership success that hold leaders back from turning the mirror on themselves, taking ownership, and really becoming self-aware. The first one I want to mention is ego. Because a leader's ego it's blinding them to the limitations that they have, but they simply don't want to believe or see. And we have dealt with ego in leadership, and it is we use the terminology around here, fatal flaw. Fatal flaw basically means we've tried our best, we've coached, we've talked. You still either don't get it, refuse to change, or whatever. We consider that a fatal flaw. Basically, that means this one thing about you is going to cause you to be separated.
It
right?
will, yes.
Ego is one of those things.
Well, it's toxic as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's when somebody stops listening, when they resist feedback, that kind of thing, because they have that I know best mentality, right? And that's one of the worst things that you can do, because at the end of the day, it's all about me, because I'm the smartest one in the room. I understand what needs to happen. This is the way I want it to be done. And it's just me, but never listening to what's really the issue in themselves. And that's very toxic.
Ego will it'll impact lots of things: culture, retention, performance. But if you're a growing organization, it will crush innovation.
Yes. Because
no one else wants to push back or share their ideas with an egotistical leader.
Right.
And if you're listening to this or watching, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm not an egotistical leader, you're the one I'm talking to.
Exactly.
We all have egos. I have an ego. You have an ego. Because I am trying so hard to be hyper aware of my ego, I can work on it.
Exactly.
I can address it. I can be conscious in my communication. Something else I'll tell you, if you're thinking he's not talking to me, I am talking to you. Like Wayne said in the other episode, if I'm stepping on your toes, like the pastor said, then you probably just need to move your feet a little bit. If no one on your team in the last 3 business days has come to you with an idea that they would like to do, or something they see in the business that they could fix or improve, or presented an alternative opinion or viewpoint than what you have previously shared, you have an ego problem.
Yeah, 100%.
That is probably a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But like I have said before, do not believe what people tell you. Believe what they show you. And if people aren't demonstrating those behaviors to you, you have an ego problem.
And it just keeps, they'll stop coming to you, asking for anything, asking for advice, or just they'll stop coming to you with solutions because you don't listen. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things, because, if nobody's coming and you become more of a dictator at that point, because your ego overwhelms you and it overwhelms everybody else, because it becomes more of, when you're in a meeting and you get to a heated argument because your way is the only way and it's your way or the highway kind of thing. That's your ego getting in the way of everything. That's you working in a super silo over here while everybody else is trying to work over here. And then they're just trying to cover up the damage and all the collateral damage that's being left behind.
And you want to know what some, I won't say majority, some, because I don't want to make everybody mad who's watching this. What some people are going to do right after they watch this is they're going to go to their team and they're going to say, hey, Wayne, if you ever had a problem with me or you disagreed, would you tell me? And you'd say, oh, yeah. Oh, of course I would, Steve. Don't believe what people tell you. Believe what they show you.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
So don't go and ask your team, hey, if you had a problem, would you share it with me? If I was doing something wrong, would you let me know? Because they're all going to say yes.
Especially if you're the guy that or the person that has the ego, they're just going to, hey, I'm going to get away from this conversation as fast as I can. Yes, oh yeah, I will tell you.
And they're going to be so nice about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
of
then
course
they're
I
going to
tell
turn around
you.
and they're going to walk away and they're going to talk to somebody else. My gosh, man, did you just hear that?
I would never tell that dude anything.
Yes,
Right?
at all. Yeah.
That's why I'm telling you, don't believe what people tell you, believe what they show you. Turn the mirror around and ask yourself, has anyone in the last 3 to 5 days challenged any of my thoughts or opinions? Has anyone come to me with an innovative idea, a solution, something that they think they can do to make one of our problems better or make the business better? If the answer is no, you have an ego problem, period. Stop it.
Yeah. Actions are much stronger than words in that scenario, because if you don't show it, if you don't create the action, this somebody's just giving you lip service.
That's going to make a good reel. Either that or like Denine's going to get into the car again and I'm going to be yelling at Chris.
Yeah.
What are you listening to? Okay.
It may happen.
Second major, there's probably just these two, but the second major silent saboteur of leadership in your business is your lack of self-awareness in this other area. Ego was the first one. The second one is insecurity. So while ego is like, it's screaming at you in your mind, telling you that you're right, the insecurity is constantly whispering to you in the back of your mind, I can't be wrong. I can't be wrong. It's that fear of failure of making a mistake or something, something like that. So,
but that can actually be a strength too if you do it the right way.
Talk about that.
I mean, well, so if you're so scared that you're going to make a mistake, guess what? You are going to make a mistake. Because that's Murphy's Law. That's any kind of thing like that. If you're scared you're going to make that mistake, you're scared you're going to mess up, the chances of you messing up are extremely high.
Yep.
The thing is, we all make mistakes, no matter what. When we deal with the customers, and there's going to be times that we're going to have issues when we get a customer's order. We want it to be 100%, but sometimes we make a mistake. It's not what happens, and it's not if you make a mistake. It's when you make that mistake, how do you respond to it, and how do you take care of it? If you try to push it under the rug, you don't do anything with it, then all it does is it compounds and it gets worse and worse and worse. If you take care of it really, really quick, you could have a customer for life at that point, because what a customer wants to know is, hey, I appreciate you getting my order right, but if you get my order wrong, how are you going to take care of it? Are you going to back it up? Are you going to do it right? Are you going to take care of it quickly? And if you do those things, then you'll have a customer that, hey man, I appreciate what you did. I know things happen and mistakes happen, but you took care of it super, super fast and you did a great job at doing it. Then you built a longer and a better relationship. The problem, what you got to understand is, and I know that went a different direction, but when you start thinking about what you're doing, and if you have an issue, you have a mistake, it's owning up to that mistake. Don't try to blame it on somebody else. Don't try to give it to somebody else and say, hey, that it's their fault. No. Take action. Be the one that's going to take responsibility. It's okay. If you can fess up and say, hey, this one's on me, I messed up, that's okay. You ever look at some of these, like if you're watching football or watching some kind of a sport, and the quarterback missed the pass or overthrew it, and the receiver was out wide open, or say the receiver's out there and and it hits him square in the hands and he drops it, and it could have been a big play or a touchdown. Some of them, they run off, but a lot of times you'll see those players where they will, hit their chest or something and say, hey, you know what, that one's on me, man. I apologize. I should have got that, but that's on me. Well, that's owning up to your mistake, and you're going to do better the next time. That's teachable. That's something that's coachable. That's the type of person that's going to be a team player, not just on them. That's what you want, because mistakes happen, things happen, and it's just if you do it, hey, own up to it, and let's move on, because it's not the end of the world.
I hate to say this, but a lot of me feels like you can't fix ego. You can only be aware of it, and then be conscious of it, so that you can so that you can manage it. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but two things I want to talk about really quick. And number one is it's to start moving through these these two silent killers.
Yeah.
Ego and insecurity, to turn that mirror on yourself and become more self-aware. Number one, you have to assume that you have an ego and also assume that you have insecurities.
Exactly.
Start there. Start with assume you have this problem. So then you can ask yourself, if I had this problem, how might it show up at work? And then you can kind of go into the questions that I asked. Has anyone come to me with issues in the last 3 to 5 days, kind of thing? And you can start there. Or do I feel that, am I micromanaging projects? Am I answering all the questions for people, because I'm scared of making mistakes and, kind of thing? So assume that you have one of these things. The second thing you can do to start addressing this, so number one, this is what you have. We'll start with insecurities. If you assume that you have a problem with being insecure, here's the first thing you got to learn. It's okay to be wrong.
It is.
And if you demonstrate that you are okay being wrong, that level of authenticity will actually attract your team to you even more, because people are not attracted to perfection. They're attracted to humility, transparency, and feeling like we're on the same level. You're not better than me. Like, man, you make mistakes too, and you're not afraid to own it. Man, it makes me feel a lot better. It empowers me to own my issues, my weaknesses, my mistakes.
Yeah, well, you take yourself off the pedestal in a sense because of your ego. You're down, and you have humility. Humility can be a great thing because it basically says, "Hey, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get better, and so is the next person over here." And you're able to have that better dialogue, better communication with your team because they know that you're real. A lot of people, if you have such a big issue, it's almost a fakeness. It's a cover up for insecurities. And if you can allow yourself to open up and expose your own insecurities, it's just going to make you a better leader. It's going to make you a better teammate, a player, all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that's the first light bulb that needs to come on with insecurity. It's so the best answers, the most effective answers are always the simplest. You just need to realize it's okay to be wrong. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now with ego, there's another light bulb moment with ego, and that is you have to realize that ego destroys people's feeling of being like it's okay for them to be authentic. It destroys the people culture, and it eliminates empowerment inside your organization. Ego is ultra destructive to the people around you. It limits them. It causes them to not feel like that they can be their best self at work, causes them to kind of operate in fear. Once you understand that this is what ego does to your business, that light bulb comes on. Now it's like you can be more motivated to attack it and become self-aware of how could this be showing up for me at work.
Yeah. Who wants to be on pins and needles all the time, right?
0.0 people.
Yeah. But that's what happens when you get around that whole situation. People are on pins and needles. They're just, and then that just creates an opportunity for mistakes to happen because they're worried about what you're going to say, what's going to happen to them if they say something wrong or they make a mistake. So ego can be a destroyer all the way around.
So we're always going long. I come in here and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking to myself, okay, 30 minutes, I'm going to hit it. And then Quentin's over here signaling me like, dude, it's been an hour and a half, kind of thing. So just two really quick things that as kind of some key takeaways that you can start doing right now. Number one is leaders won't get it done if it's not on your calendar. So you have to schedule on your calendar times to pause and self-reflect. What does
clarity break?
Clarity breaks, and EOS calls them clarity breaks. If it's not on your calendar, you're not doing it. Schedule clarity breaks or moments of quiet pause and reflection where you can ask yourself the questions like I just asked earlier, and you can really think about it. You can write it down. You can journal it. You can mull it over. If you're not taking those quiet moments, then you're never going to really be able to become self-aware. You've got to slow down and pause. There is power in pausing the noise. The second thing is you have to realize authenticity builds trust in your team. You have to admit your weaknesses with your team. You have to admit what you're worried about, what you're scared of. They have to understand where you're vulnerable, because when you communicate those things, you're breaking down the myth of a flawless leader. You are going to encourage authenticity in your team, but also you're going to build trust in them. If they trust you, they will share good ideas with you. If they trust you, they will challenge you when you have bad ideas.
Yeah.
I told the team, I told Sam this, I've told several people, I think I even said it in the traction meeting. I looked everyone of them in the eye and I said, it is your responsibility to keep me from making bad decisions. I will probably make a bad decision that could sink this company. And if you let me make a bad decision, I'm telling the people who work for me this, if you allow me to make a bad decision, it's your fault. I expect you to challenge me. I expect you to push back and tell me where I'm wrong. But I can say that all day. If I don't demonstrate the behavior that I am willing to accept that kind of pushback, no one's going to tell me anything. Yeah. So you have to put it in your calendar, schedule the pause to be reflective. And then you have to be authentic yourself and open up and admit, the issues that you have, what your weaknesses are, so that you can start building that trust with your team.
Yeah. Well, so I just wanted to read this real quick. So for a clarity break, this is where you ask yourself these things: what's working and what's not, right? Because we understand what we're doing and what we're not doing. What's the real issue here? So you ask yourself what that real issue is and understand it and talk about it. So when you're having that clarity break, you got to know what's working, what's not, and then what the real issue is. And then, am I leading from vision or reaction?
Ooh,
dude, how many times?
Dude, I love that.
Right? Am I leading from vision or from reaction? And then the last thing is, where am I the bottleneck? If you can ask yourself those things and respond to them in a positive way, or respond to them in a honest way. Let me put it that way.
Yep.
Respond to them in an honest way. That's going to help you have a really good clarity break, but it's also going to help you when you get out of that and you go back into to working, you're going to be thinking about that, and it's going to make you a better leader overall. But that third one is, am I leading from vision or reaction? How often do we lead from reaction? I mean, that happens a lot, especially in small businesses, even in big businesses, honestly. If something happens, everybody's reacting super, super fast, rather than sitting back. Okay, let's hold up. Let's just look at the overall picture, and then come up with the right decision.
Because the danger of what you just said, I'm not trying to extend this podcast. I promise you I'm not. But the danger of what you just said is, when you are making decisions based on reactions or something that happened, the danger is you can make a decision that could actually point you in a different direction than where your vision is trying to take you.
Yes.
Because you're not focused on decisions based on the vision and where you're trying to go. You're making decisions based off of what happened today or what happened yesterday, and that could impact your trajectory. You make 2 or 3 or 4 choices like that, you could really veer off course.
Yes.
And get, and then it's a lot of work to get back on track.
It is.
All right. Before I close, any last words?
Nope. Just keep trying to improve yourself. I mean, get that self-awareness, look in the mirror, make sure that you understand who you are. Because if you don't improve yourself, you're never going to improve the people that are around you. Second thing I would say is, work as a group. Stay out of silos. You don't want to just be over here in your own little world. Work as a group and just listen to what other people's intake is and what they're saying, and that way you can intake it the right way. But and work on ego. We all have egos. It's just how we manage those egos, and it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to have to make a mistake. It's how you own up to it. Are you blaming others? Or are you looking inside and saying, hey, you know what? That's on me.
Yep. I love it. I have nothing else to say after that, man. So I'll just say then, thank you for watching the 3PX show. Episode 15 is in the books. And
Woohoo.
Hey, we're only like 7 episodes, maybe 7 or 8 episodes away from filming in a new studio. Wow. in a new building. And we think about how fast this has gone by. Hey, y'all are going to open up the podcast one day, and it's going to be like a whole new studio that we're in. I'm very excited about that.
I am super excited. That's going to be so great.
Yeah.
We're going to love it.
Hey, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We love you. We appreciate you. If you enjoyed this episode, like, share, subscribe, all the things, and please interact with us on our social accounts. Text us, reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. We're pretty responsive, I think, almost instantly sometimes.
Yep, we will. Yes.
To a fault. But hey, we just appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. We love you. See ya.
God bless. See ya.